weirdo? Shade Tree Surgeon here, and I wanted to just preface this video real quick with the what and the why. The what of this video is I decided to take my 1986 FXR as far as I could get it to go. It's got about 100,000 miles on it, low compression in the rear cylinder. Most people wouldn't ride that motorcycle across the street. And I've got a new engine for it, a 113 S&S, but I always said I wouldn't put that new engine in there until I blew the old one up. So I hopped on that bike, I took off, and I had absolutely no idea how far I would make it. That's the what. As far as why, I'll get into that after I show y'all what happened. What's up, weirdo? Shade Tree Surgeon here, hanging out with the one and only Pancake Donkey. Drove all the way down here from North Carolina to hang out at the Dirty Shame. We, of course, got Tails 666 behind the bar. And I'm not in my bar clothes. Flip is bartending. We got Shelby here. The artist formerly known as Clyde. And Dyna Bro Special back there. Of course, Flip is bartending, and I am not, even though it's Saturday night. And there's a good reason for that, because it's about 11 o'clock at night, and I called up Flip and I said, hey man, can you work for me? Can you come in and bartend tonight? Because literally just decided that I'm a little itchy and it's time to get the fuck out of town on the FXR. So see all you nerds in hell. All right guys, here behind the Dirty Shame. 3 cheers for Flipknot for working for me, and she's getting the FXR ready to go. The same FXR that, yes, was on fire a couple weeks ago, but you know, what's the worst that could happen? And as always with me, I freaking go to turn it on, walk behind it, and my brake light isn't working. And I'm about to leave in the middle of the night at 11 o'clock at night to ride like 700 miles. So that's not going to do. But luckily, there's a bunch of people who ride bicycles around here. So that ought to do it, right? 1986 FXR. Whooped out low compression Evo with 100,000 miles on it. What's the worst that could happen? Couldn't ask for a better sign. Gypsy Road comes on the Senna, and we're about to hit the highway. No turning back now, boys. How could you ever turn back with Cinderella blasting? Come on. No brake lights, no turn signals, a headlight that cuts in and out. Come on. just another day on top of Barf Party. It feels good, I'm not gonna lie. It's a stretch of road I ride all the time, and it leads to a lot of places I go regularly, and it also leads straight the hell out of town. And every time I'm riding it, and I get off on that exit to go wherever I'm going, I just look a little bit farther, and I just say to myself, God, I just rather go. I just rather keep on going. I just rather skip the exit, point this thing out of Florida, and just freaking go. Well, today's the day, baby. I got no idea how far this old heap of rusty bolts from the 80s can get me, but we're about to find out. Let me tell you something, boys. Never look before you leap. If you look before you leap, you might see something scary, and then you wouldn't get to have the fun of jumping. If there's one thing Shade Tree Surgeon craves above all others, it's an ice-cold beer. But second to that is adventure. Let's do it to 'em, baby. Pulling off here, I'm only about 50 miles outside of Tampa right now, but I do want to pull off. I mean, this is a bike from 1986 with close to 100,000 miles on it, and they have not been easy miles. I don't have a death wish, so here about 50, 60 miles outside of Tampa from my starting point, I'm going to go ahead and pull over, put some gas in it, see what my highway gas mileage is, and check the tightness of a few key points around the motorcycle. Make sure my pulley's not rubbing against the shock. Make sure that I'm just not burning massive amounts of oil. Like, you know, normal stuff for a bike from the 80s. Oh, that's a bummer. The gas station I was going to stop at is not open. Oh, well, on to the next. Randomly dying instead of idling is a little bit concerning. Well, let's put a few more miles on the highway and see what happens. All right, let's see what kind of gas mileage I'm getting, because honestly, I have no idea what kind of highway mileage this thing gets. I know it's not great. Looks like I'm getting about 30 miles a gallon. Not very good for an Evo, but at least I know now. Everything else seems tight and good, so let's hit the road. The first gas stop is always the most annoying because it always seems to take the most amount of time. Yeah, I'm using Waze to get me there because not only does it tell you where cops are, or at least it tries to tell you where cops are, but also tells you how fast you're going. The FXR does not have a speedometer,
and every other gauge on it is pretty much going crazy at all times. So it's not that big of a deal because it's not really capable of breaking the speed limit that badly. Would you look at this? The FXR is passing somebody. That's odd. Oh, here we go. Didn't take less than 100 miles and I'm running into my first batch of rain. Nice. All right. It wouldn't dare rain on me. Come on. Not with Def Leppard playing.
Well, unsurprisingly, it did not take very long for me to actually have to pull over and bust out the rain gear. This is Florida after all. Let's carry on. Just stopped for gas and I pulled off, and the bike's having a little trouble idling. I haven't tried turning up the idle yet because it was idling fine before. I also noticed when I pulled over, leaking a little bit of gas out of here. It seems to have stopped now, but I don't know, man. Not to mention that it took the exhaust took a bite out of my frog tog. The bike leaks just about everything else, so leaking a bit of fuel is not exactly out of the ordinary for this thing. Let's push on. Still on top of it pissing gas, I figured I might as well check the oil while I was in here too, and in the last 400 miles, I've burned almost exactly 1 quart of oil. In the words of my friend Dylan, we'll go ahead and call that situation less than ideal.
Well, it appears as if the leaking is continuing. So I'm at my next gas stop and we're still kind of dripping fuel off this thing. So I'm going to pull the air cleaner off and just see what it looks like behind there. Plus, I'm freezing. I'm wet and I'm cold, so I'm going to take a second and do this.
Well, near as I can tell, it stopped when I stopped the bike, so it seems to be something that's happening while the motorcycle's running. So all I can do is just keep on going and close the petcock when I stop.
I just stopped to put all my camera stuff back on because let me tell you, after the excitement of getting out of town fades, just the slog of driving through the night, while it is nice, it does feel good to get out of Florida in the middle of the night, to escape in the middle of the night. I'm glad for it to be over, and it does get a little tiring, especially when you're getting rained on. Once the sun rises again, it's about 7 a.m. The sun just came up. And I've seen like 1 car goes by here. You ask why I leave at 11 o'clock at night or midnight from Tampa to get out of Florida? This is why, because now I get to enjoy the drive in just like this. I'm just like the mom from Pete and Pete finding the perfect place to pee here too. And if you get that reference, good for you. Once the sun comes back up though, it's just like so revitalizing. I'm alive again! So I timed this in my mind pretty dang perfectly because the whole plan was to just ride through the night, all highways, all the way to Macon, Georgia. And then at Macon, Georgia, because I definitely don't want to drive through Atlanta, I'm going to hop off and do the back roads, which I'm doing now, because I don't want to do these at night. I have done back roads at night. It's not the most fun thing in the world. But once the sun was up, I was like, man, I am getting the heck off the highway and enjoying this. Now, don't get me wrong. There's certainly plenty of awesome back roads to ride in Florida, but when you're getting out of Florida, when you just want to get out of Florida, there's really no fun way to do it. You just got to rip off the Band-Aid, hop on the highway, and get the hell out of the state. Escape from Florida. But once you're out and the sun's up, then it's time to do this. And that's why I love leaving in the middle of the night, because now I've basically got this all to myself. Couple hiccups from the FXR so far, but nothing life-threatening, I'd say. We got some leaking gas, some burning oil. It won't idle, so I mean, pretty much a normal day in the life of Barf Party. At least it's not doing anything out of the ordinary. I just saw the sign, so I figured I'd turn on the camera and talk about it. Currently, right now, I didn't know, so luckily there was a sign. I'm riding through Oconee National Forest. Cue all the people who said, man, you rode by that national forest that's right next to my house and you didn't tell me. Look, guys, I didn't know I was leaving until I actually left. I don't know what to tell you. That's just how I do things. That's why when I do this stuff, I usually do it alone, because There's zero planning involved. I literally just shoved some underwear in a duffel bag, hopped on the FXR, called Flip to cover my shift, and I left. I'm not gonna lie to you guys right now. I'm on my last or possibly second to last gas stop. I am freezing my freaking ass off, dude. I'm cold. There's no like acting tough right now or anything like that. I am just really cold. I was hoping the sun come out and would warm things up a little bit. So far, it ain't doing nothing for me, guys. The scenery is beautiful. I'm loving it. But man, this Florida boy is shivering right now. What a beautiful little historic town. It'd be a shame if a dirty hobo Florida swamp wizard came to it. The old jail. Yeah, I'm sure they got a no swamp wizards welcome sign up here. This ain't where we're stopping though. Have I even said where we're going yet? I don't think so. I don't even think I've said where I'm headed yet. But the dwarves are playing on the center right now, so I'm gonna hold off. So basically what I did is I picked the closest mountain to Tampa. I typed it into Google Maps and just said closest mountain to Tampa. And what came up was Mount Yonah in Georgia, right on the Tennessee border. So that's where I'm headed. That's exactly how I made our decision. I said, what's the closest mountain? That's where I'm going. So here we are, about 10 hours later. The closest town to Mount Yonah was a place called Helen, so that's where I'm headed now. I literally know nothing about it. I didn't reserve a hotel room. I didn't rent a cabin. I'm just gonna show up and say, here I am, oh my dirty weirdo glory. Accept me, Helen. I don't know how this is gonna go. Hopefully well. I need a place to sleep. I'm gonna be tired. Oh, I can tell I'm in the mountains because my Waze app is going nuts right now. It just told me to get off the whatever road I was on. And now it's telling me to go ahead and get back on it. Pretty much par for the course with this stuff once you get into the mountains. Which is bad for me because I do not have the best sense of direction. I entirely rely on my GPS. I literally just typed in closest mountain and left. The only thing I did know is that I didn't want to drive through Atlanta. So that's the only exception I've made to this whole trip. I'm gonna end up somewhere, that's for sure. All right, here we go. Like I always say, man, I don't care if you're driving 1,000 miles or if you're driving 200 miles. The last 50 miles always kind of sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's beautiful out. It's finally starting to get a little bit warm. I ain't mad at it. I'm just saying, the last 50 miles, whether you've done 1,000 before it or whether you've done 200 before it, is always a little rough. And I've done both, so I'm speaking from experience here. We got mountains! Ha! Ha! I love it! Just a few short hours ago, my ass was at the Dirty Shame in Tampa, Florida. And now we got mountains. All right, we're almost there. The FXR is starting to stutter at higher speed, which means, I'm not sure what it means. Probably fouled out plugs. I probably got some dirty plugs, but come on, baby. 30 more miles. Come on, baby. We got mountains right there. You can do it. Bring me 30 more miles. Things are looking bad. Right now, I really can't get above 3,000 RPM unless I'm going downhill. Yeah, that's what happens when I try to accelerate going slightly uphill. Yeah. I don't want to do it, baby. Yeah, that's full throttle. Oh, we're running again, baby. I guess those plugs might have gotten cleared out. I don't know what's up, man. But if we're going to go over 70 miles an hour again uphill, I'm going to take it. Judas Priest is playing right now, Living After Midnight, and I think the FXR just can't resist. Oh, come on, baby. I know I said the last 50 miles sucks, but there's nothing that sucks about this right now. Bike's running like crap. I've been riding since 11:30 yesterday, and I could care less. This feels good. Oh yeah. Something's definitely wrong here. I don't even care. Don't do it to me. Come on, you can make it. We're so close. Come on, 9 miles away. Barf party, we're so close. I know I'm asking a lot here. I'm just asking for 8.4 more miles. Come on, and we're going uphill. I'm pretty sure we're only running on one cylinder right now. Oh no. I'm blowing smoke, baby. Come on, get me to the next intersection at least. Oh, that is not good. Oh, please don't catch on fire. Let me go ahead and turn this petcock off. Note to self, get an onboard fire extinguisher.
I went ahead and pulled the rear plug. To be totally honest with you, I've seen worse looking plugs, but I do have an extra set. Now, let me see, I'm going to pull the front one too and see what that one looks like. Even though the rear cylinder is the one that has low compression, for some reason it's always the front cylinder that ends up fouling a plug.
Huh, look at that. Toolkit gives you the wrong size spark plug socket.
I'm glad I brought this wrench, because if you have an FXR, you know that you need it because of where the ignition switch is. Now that doesn't look very good. Let me go ahead and throw some new plugs in there and see if that does anything. All right, this might make it run better, but it certainly doesn't address the gas leakage or the reason that it was fouling them out in the first place. That still remains a mystery. Well, let's see if this at least makes it run.
Sure, I have ascertained that the issue here is that the rear cylinder, which previously had low compression, has completely let loose. I've done that by pulling and looking at the spark plugs. It looked like it might have had a little bit of metal detritus on it, but really, sorry about your driveway, whoever's driveway this is, it's blowing smoke out of the sump when I did get it to start, and it's only running on one cylinder, which tells me there's nothing compressing over here, and it's just like blowing that right down to the crankcase, which is not a good look. But I was able to get it to start by pouring some gasoline directly into the carburetor, and I might be able to limp it on one cylinder, blowing smoke the whole way to Helen. We'll see. All right, everybody say a quick prayer for Josh to not get set on fire trying to do this. Oh my God, this is probably not gonna work. She's running. Let's see if we can make anything happen. I really don't want any cars to be behind me, but it's not as late as it was. Traffic's starting to pick up. Oh, sorry, buddy. It's going to have to be you. Up the hill, come on! It's just like blowing gas on my leg right now. Downhill, yes, this we can do a little bit better. I have no idea what's about to hand grenade in that motor right now. Come on, 6.5 miles. Oh my gosh, this is a terrible idea. Oh my God, you can do it. You can make your final destination. 6 miles. It really only seems to want to work at higher RPMs, which seems much more dangerous. I gotta imagine just because there's more momentum in the engine at that point. because it's got that dead cylinder flopping around in there. If it doesn't have the momentum to keep the whole thing going as we go up this hill. All right, come on. I think I can. Come on. This thing is gonna melt. These people behind me are probably so pissed. I don't know what to tell you, man. There is not pleasant sounds coming out of there. 5.5 miles. I hope there's not a lot more uphill. Something tells me there's probably going to be, though. I just got to make sure if I see one, I get a lot of momentum going. This is a no-break situation right now. All right, up the hill, up and up, up. Oh, this is a big one. All right, I got to get as much momentum as possible going down here. Or else I'm never going to make it up this thing. Come on, come on, come on! Use your momentum! Oh, 4.5 miles, this is not good. I don't know if I got enough ass left to do another hill. Oh, nope, I don't. It completely let go. There we go. That's it. That's all she wrote. Okay. Let's get over here. That was not good. Oh, buddy. Well, we got a little closer. That doesn't look good. Okay, this is about to start a fucking fire. Pull this goddamn... No. Oh my god. That was almost bad. Starter relay fused together. Well, that is really all she wrote.
Okay, I currently have Barf Purdy in the back of a Penske truck because the entire engine has let loose. It's been a roller coaster ride of emotions. And it's ending with me falling short of my goal by 5 measly miles. I'm not mad though. How can I be mad? I rolled the dice, baby. I rolled the dice, and when you roll the dice, sometimes it doesn't come up shade tree surgeon, man. Barf Party is dead. Long live Barf Party. I know there's going to be a fair few people who really didn't understand why I did this, so I'm going to do my best to explain it. There's a bunch of different reasons. One, I wanted to see what just would happen if I just got on a bike with 100,000 miles on it that was not in the best shape, pointed it out of Florida, and just went. I wanted to see how far it could go. I also wanted to see if it did break down, which was likely and did happen, how I would figure out getting it back and figuring out what I was going to do now that I was stranded in the middle of nowhere with a motorcycle that didn't run. I think that's an important one because there's a lot of people who don't take trips. They don't go on long trips because one of the big unknowns is what if the bike I'm riding breaks down? And that's never happened to me. I've never broken down far away. So I kind of wanted to see what would happen and then also share that experience with you guys so maybe you feel a little bit better about being absolutely chaotic, throwing caution to the wind, jumping on whatever motorcycle you have available to you and just going. And thirdly, I just love a good challenge. I love failure. I always accept failure as an option, and let's be honest here, with that FXR, especially with you guys who've been watching the channel for a long time, if you're new here, maybe you're not super familiar with it, but if you've been watching the Shade Tree Surgeon channel for a while, you're familiar with that FXR, and let me tell you, this was always a suicide mission. No one was ever coming home. One of my absolute favorite quotes is by Theodore Roosevelt, and it's a little dramatic for just a motorcycle ride, but it is how I try to live my life. And even if it is just a little bit dramatic, guess what? So am I. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with blood and sweat, who errs, who comes short again and again, for there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best in the end knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least he failed daring greatly, so that his place will never be with those cold and timid souls that know neither victory or defeat. Yes, a bit dramatic, but I love the drama, baby. And if brevity's your thing, we can go ahead and shorten that up to don't let failure stop you from trying, because trying, that's where the fun's at. And this engine was always going to fail. It wasn't going to make it back. I mean, obviously, it would be cool if it did. I would have loved to ride back into town, triumphant once again on a 100,000-mile Evo, but I knew in my heart that it wasn't coming back. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that to happen. You know, I get in these manic fits sometimes, and I just can't stop myself. And I get this itch, and there's only one way to scratch it, and that's to jump on that bike and ride it till it died. And die it did. It died climbing a mountain. It died with its boots on. That old Evo engine will never collect dust on a shelf. It'll never be on the wall. It'll never be in another vehicle. It now resides in fucking Valhalla. Yes, I could have just pulled it out. Yes, I could have rebuilt it, but with the life that thing has lived, I wanted it to die climbing a mountain, and that's exactly what it did. It didn't die with a whimper, it died with a bang, striving uphill in the mountains, blowing out oil and smoke and sparks and molten parts directly out to the sump all over the highway, and that's how it went out, and I love it. It'll never molder on a shelf. It died doing exactly what it was supposed to. Whew. Now that I got that out of my system, I can actually tell you guys what it's like to break down on a motorcycle very far away from home in the middle of nowhere. So your motorcycle broke down on the side of the mountain, very far away from civilization. What do you do next? So this might not apply to everybody, but here's what I did. After ascertaining that the problem was not fixable on the side of the road or really fixable at all outside of my hometown in my own shop, I mean, I'm not gonna have somebody at a shop that I've never been to install a whole new engine in my vehicle, so I needed to get myself and the vehicle home. So the first thing I did is I found a U-Haul that was open locally, and then I called an Uber, which was very hard to get in the middle of nowhere. I was very close to having to walk, but I called an Uber and it took me to the U-Haul, and I tried to rent a U-Haul to load the bike in to take it back home. Unfortunately, that Sunday, U-Haul's entire system for the entirety of North America was completely down. So did a little bit more searching, found a Penske place, managed to rent a truck from them, and I had to get another Uber out there. Once again, in the middle of nowhere, Ubers are sometimes hard to get, so I spent about an hour trying to get an Uber or a Lyft, but nobody was coming. So here's something for all you guys who may be a little bit younger and don't remember anything besides Uber and Lyft. You can still call a taxi cab. So that's what I did. I looked up local taxis, called them up, and usually when you call a taxi cab, it's just a dude with a cell phone. He came, picked me up, drove me the 55 miles to pick up the Penske truck, which cost about $80. The taxi cab ride, not the Penske truck. The Penske truck cost about $500. So I drove the Penske truck back to the FXR and very quickly realized there was absolutely no freaking way I was going to be able to load that into the back of the truck by myself. Now here's where a little bit of luck comes in. You can always plan for disasters and catastrophes and all sorts of stuff like that, but sometimes it's just dumb luck and the help of strangers that get you through it. As I was sitting there at the bumper of the Penske truck thinking about all the hoops I jumped through to get it, and then I was finally about to load the bike up and I couldn't load the bike, somebody pulled over on a motorcycle, looked at my motorcycle, looked back up at me and said, "Shade tree surgeon?" And I said, "Hell yeah, man. Good thing you stopped. Can you help me load this FXR into the back of the Penske truck?" Huge thanks to bastard number 6, because without your help, I really don't know what I would have done. Because like I said, I was far away from civilization. There was no towns near me. It's not like I could just call somebody for help. I was really up Shit's Creek, and sometimes a little bit of luck is just what you need. Bastard number 6 helped me load the bike up, hopped in the Penske truck, cost about $180 in gas to get home, so My total cost for getting the motorcycle home with the truck was about almost $700. That's definitely not cheap. It's definitely not free, but that's what you need to kind of plan to expect. Like if you are a worst case scenario, how much money are you gonna have to spend to get the bike home? And I wanted to do it. I could have called Shay to come pick me up. Shay Lisi was totally ready to come pick me up in a truck, but I wanted to know how much it would cost me to get home completely by myself, so I could then tell you guys, hey, this is how much it costs to get home by yourself. Now, that was on the Georgia-Tennessee border. If you're way farther away from home, I don't know how much it's gonna cost you, but that's how much it cost me. Outside of wanting to send my old Evo to live in Valhalla with warriors who fell in battle, a big part of this mission was to show like, hey, it's okay. You can go on that long trip. You can do this. You can try to take that trip, and the worst that's gonna happen is what happened to me. I mean, outside of loss of life and limb, but hey, let's think positive a little bit here. The worst that's gonna happen is exactly what I went through. Total catastrophic engine failure. Guess what? Even the worst happening, you still got to take the trip, you still tried, you still strived, you still did it. And it doesn't matter if it comes home in the back of a truck. It doesn't matter. Because what matters is that you tried to do it, is that you pointed your motorcycle outside of your hometown and you just freaking went for it. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. That's what I'm trying to show. I'm not special. I'm not smart. I'm not anything. All I am, the only discernible skill that I might have is that I am unafraid to fail. I have let failure cease to bother me. I've accepted it as inevitable because failure is inevitable in general. Entropy is real. Our lives end. Everything ends in failure anyway. So freaking go for broke, man. And not to get too esoteric here, but that's where I find the meaning of life, in failure. I've often said that Sisyphus is my patron saint. If you're unfamiliar with Sisyphus, he's a Greek myth, a man who was doomed to push a boulder forever up a hill. And at the very top of the hill, he would always slip, the boulder would roll back down, and he would have to push it up again. He was cursed to this toiling labor by Hades because he so loved life that he had previously tricked Hades twice into not collecting his soul. Now, this is presented as some sort of eternal torment, but I don't see it that way. I think Sisyphus played one last trick on the devil, forever pushing a boulder up the hill, forever having a purpose, ultimately failing every single time, but you get to try again and again and again. You get to try for eternity. And to me, therein lies the meaning of life. It's not the victory, but the trying. Because victory is empty, shallow, meaningless. When I do win, because sometimes I do achieve victory. It's just this fleeting, ethereal, hollow moment of ecstasy. And while it is nice, it's soon forgotten the second it's over. It's in the trying. It's in the striving, the toiling, the labor, the effort to make it happen. If I fail, I just try again because that's where I'm happiest. If I win, it's soon forgotten and it's all over. And therein, to me at least, lies the meaning of life, because there's no way to win life. There's no win, there's no reward. You don't get to sit on top of the mountain and get a little shiny metal pinned on your chest. We all end up worm food in the end. There's no winning. You don't get to turn off the game and say you won. There is no winning at life. There is only striving and toiling and effort. And if you can find meaning and joy and effort, then you're winning. I promise you that. Till next time, y'all, keep it weird.